past couple of days. And just to introduce our speaker, okay, and mas madami kayo matutunan sa kanya. I first met this guy back in 2019, I think, in UP. Casual gathering mga tao na same of interest in him. And if you guys travel to Liwa, Baler, and La Union, and you book at Circle Hostel. Anyone familiar with Circle Hostel? Circle Hostel. Okay. So, mga career-student, adventurous people who's really into helping the environment. Okay. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker for today. Let me plug my footage real quick. Medyo super short intro. So, our speaker for today works on the regenerative economy transition with indigenous people, farmers, and fisherfolk through ecosystem restoration, food security, agroforestry through land travel, and low carbon construction, acoustics through ABD green builds. He is a 4 times TED speaker on sustainability. He has planted over 90,000 trees, collected over 11 tons of plastic waste, and won awards for biochar, reforestation, and waste reduction. He helps companies and schools implement ESG, sustainability programs, and provide low carbon construction products and consulting to help reduce the effects of climate change. He has won awards such as WWF Force of Nature Award, the 10 Outstanding Youth Awards, Good Design Awards in Japan, and Circular Economy Award in Taiwan. He studied in Vietnam University, University of International Business Economics in Beijing, and MIT Boston. Please welcome the co-founder and CEO of Man Travel, Rob Javisha.
Salamat. Thank you, Eric. So, salamat. Magandang tanghali sa inyong lahat. No? Nice to see you all on this rainy day. Sino dito nakakita ng baha kagabi sa Facebook? Yung sa Mandaluyong, taas kamay. Sino dito ang nabaha kahapon? Meron ba? Napauwi? Wala naman. No? So, for today, I wanted to share our different stories about what our company does. Our company is Make a Difference, so MAD. Hindi kami galit. We just want to... We're crazy, not angry. No. We started out as a travel company because we're DOT accredited, but now we're changing name to Mad Earth because travel is the means to get to it. Earth is the reason why we do it. No? So, and I think it's very timely because we're feeling the effects of climate change today. No? And so, what I have now is a collection of stories, also suggestions on how you can make changes in your own life to make things easier. No? Gumagana ba? Hindi gumagana. Dito na lang tayo. Ayun. Oops. Sige. So to start off with, yung climate change talks about the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Is it possible to close the other audio doon? Para wala ng echo. So, yung 17 Sustainable Development Goals, mahirap siyang ma-memorize. Kuya, tanggalin nyo na lang yung audio ng TV screen. Yun na lang. I-zero nyo. So, instead of memorizing all 17... Actually, wait, sige. Hintayin ko na lang. Distracting eh. So guys, kamusta? Kanta na lang tayo kasi the echo is good for singing. Better? Okay. So, there we go. Back to the story. So the 17 Sustainable Development Goals are quite intense and, to be honest, very difficult to memorize. Right? I don't memorize all of them myself. But this Dumagat elder here captures in his story basically what it should be about. No? In the story here, he's saying, He's talking to a large company, and the large company is wanting to develop in their territory ancestral domain. 40% of the Philippines' land is ancestral domain, right? So the company goes, oh, I'll invest in your land. In exchange, we'll pay you, we'll give you jobs, you can work. And then the elder goes, sir, we also want development. But development for us means taking care of the land and taking care of water. Two things that many companies have not been doing over the last 1,000 years, I would say. No? And that's why we are in this transition period. The Sustainable Development Goals are a transition tool for a better economy, right? And last year we had these 4 storms, right? There's no work or there's no school. It was very bad. When this happened, I went to my dad. My dad is a doctor at the Philippine General Hospital. When he was younger, he was a valedictorian of his class. And when he was in university in UP, his pre-med was zoology. So he's a science guy, right? So I thought my dad could understand climate change. So I asked him, Dad, do you understand carbon, the storms, and climate change and how they're all connected? And then he thought about it for a while and he said, you know, I understand all of them individually, but I cannot explain to you how they are connected. And then at that point, I had the light bulb moment. I thought to myself, if my father, who is the best in his class, a science major, and now a doctor, cannot explain climate change, then how can the generation leading us in government, and how can we expect them to explain it? Dad is already one of the smartest in his batch. Does that make sense? Diba? It's fair, no? Because we always tell people, oh, you're not doing the right thing. But wait, they didn't learn it because it did not exist when they were in grade school, high school, or university. So I made this for him. I said, Dad, listen up. This is what happens. No? So the sun warms the planet. That's the sunlight, the yellow. No? And then the heat that it doesn't need, it reflects back up here. The heat that we get, that's what grows anything here green. That's why we're growing plants, we have vegetables. No? Now, if there are carbon and carbon equivalents in the sky, yun lang. They act as mirrors, no? And then the heat that's escaping bounces back. So the heat's escaping, then it goes back down because carbon, methane, so that's the black smoke from your vehicles. That's the black smoke when we cook barbecue or liempo, right? That's the fart of the cow. That's the exhaust of the aircon. That's anything that burns, no? Right. So what happens next is that when the heat is reflected back, 70% of the planet is water, correct? So what happens when you apply heat to water? Correct, evaporation. So good, it evaporates. Which means, but here's the thing. If, let's say, if it's 10 degrees hotter today, then there's more water that evaporates, correct? So that heat creates stronger waves, stronger wind, and also heavier clouds because there's more heat, therefore there's more water going up. And if it goes up, it eventually has to come down. And when it comes down in the form of storms. No? So that's how climate change circulates. It uses the existing system of water and then it just makes it run faster. Right? Parang naka-turbocharge siya. Right? And it's important to understand this because it will not stop. Right? Our government is very good at disaster risk mitigation. In fact, we held the International Disaster Risk Mitigation Conference here in the Philippines because other countries wanted to learn how do we deal with disaster because we're so used to it. So we're very good at the stopgap measures, but we're not very good at prevention because not everyone understands how it happens and why it happens. No? And that's why we're here today, right? These things that keep happening faster, stronger, hotter, more rain, it scares kids. When I was in high school and it would rain just like it did today, I would be happy because I know there's no school, right? But my nephews and nieces are not happy anymore. They're scared the emotion changed. And that's very telling, right? Because I don't want my nephews and nieces to be scared when it rains, right? We have been the victim of flood, as I'm sure some of you in this room have been. No? It's a Filipino experience, right? But no longer unique to us, right? It's hanging. Can I just use this na lang, Erish? Okay, so here, the carbon comes from different parts, no? And Stanford University did a very simple way of simplifying it, right? So here in the chart, you will see there's transportation, there's how you power things, there's your food, right? And then there's protecting nature, that's your tree planting. And then that's cleaning up industry, that's how you build. Because 1 kilo of cement equals 1 kilo of carbon, almost. And 1 kilo of steel equals 1 kilo of carbon, almost. About 90 something. And then this last thing, called removing carbon, that's the carbon that everyone who's died has put in the atmosphere. But we need to remove. And so this all totals to 59 gigatons. The scientists of the world have quantified the amount of carbon that is causing climate change. And that's the same number we need to remove. That's why we say it's a race to zero, right? But, and so one thing that is striking here, because many people, I personally, before I saw this chart, I thought tree planting could save the world. Apparently, it's worth 7 of the 59 gigatons. Just as important as what you eat. Because eating is every day, tree planting is not every day, right? And there's a cow there because beef is the highest in terms of carbon waste, right? So let me put it this way. If you eat a cheeseburger from McDonald's or whatever brand, that is equivalent of the carbon of a car running for 20 kilometers. Fair, right? Beef is 5 times more carbon wasteful than pork, 6 times more than chicken, and hundreds of times more than vegetables. Legumes, yung mongo, that's carbon negative. So who here likes mongo? Good for you. Who here likes beef? I request that you switch to pork. We're in the Philippines, so we're very good at cooking pork. Right? So we're lucky in that way. Now, am I saying stop beef altogether? No. There are scientific ways in which you can grow beef low carbon. Some countries do it well, our country does not. And if we import beef from the US and Australia, no, that is very high carbon because you're paying for gasoline pa. So anyway, that's the storyline of it all, no? Sige, ako na lang, Irish. Kasi mahirap yan. No? So we go to the Philippines, zoom in on the Philippines, and these are familiar stories, no? One, last year, the sugar industry lost 1/3 of its income. So imagine if your boss walks in and says, hey guys, thanks for the hard work, but September, October, November, December, I'm not paying you. Diba? Won't you get angry? That's what climate change told all the farmers. Hey guys, I'm not paying you for 4 months. TY, see you later. No? And you know what happened? Coca-Cola, no sugar, they had to buy from Vietnam, but prices are rising, pushes our prices higher. Next, in the middle, coral reefs at 1.5 degrees Celsius past pre-industrial level. So this is on the average, our temperature is 1.5 degrees hotter than it was 100, 200 years ago. That's the average. So on a good day, it's 1.5. On a bad day, it's 8 degrees. Kasi average yan eh, right? So, coral reefs are getting heat stressed. They don't grow when they're stressed. Plants don't grow when they're stressed. And I'll give you an example, even in freshwater. Tilapia at 34 degrees Celsius will stop breeding. So, people who want to grow tilapia can no longer do it in Pampanga because it's too hot. They have to go to the upland now to grow their tilapia. Right? But oops, if you put tilapia in the freshwater river, tilapia eats all the other fish, then it becomes a monoculture. That's bad. See the cycle? Right? So it's connected in that way. No? And then the last, Kasiguran Aurora, 60 degrees Celsius heat index in August 2013. 60 degrees is toxic to your body. 60. Last year, we hit 54, 55. But in 2023, it was 60. So what we're showing here, this will become more and more common along with the storms as we progress, because our economy, to grow, has a lot of carbon waste. which is unfortunately invisible to the eye most of the time. And that's why it's so hard to combat. No? But that's also why the SDGs are so important, right? So if we focus on nature, this is the story of our country. No? In 1900, we were 70% primary rainforest cover. That's old growth forest. We need 10 people to hug the tree. It's 200 feet tall. But in year 2016, it's 3%, and now it's less than that. What happened? So, I'm a fan of history, so I brought for you a interesting book. Page 36, the last paragraph. In January of 1900, there was a meeting. A US senator named Albert Beveridge was talking to the US president because he was proposing that the US should buy the Philippines from Spain for $20 million. So, of course, he had to justify to the president and to the whole Senate why we should do that. So I'll read for you the quote because these are the minutes of the meeting. Mr. President, the times call for candor. The Philippines are ours forever and just beyond are China's illimitable markets. No land in America surpasses in fertility the plains and valleys of Luzon. Rice, coffee, sugar, coconuts, hemp, and tobacco. The wood of the Philippines can supply furniture of the world for a century to come. Cebu Island has a mountain which is practically a chain of coal energy, right? And I have a nugget of pure gold from the banks of a Philippine creek. End quote. That is his justification as to why they should buy the Philippines. And they did in the Treaty of Paris, right? Recently, we had the Paris Climate Treaty, but it's no longer about buying and selling countries. It's about carbon, and it's about the world now. So how times have changed, right? But why is this important? Because I want you to understand that the nature of economies in the Philippines started as extractive. Because the first businesses set up after as the colonization period ended, we're all extractive. Let's turn the soil, till it, and turn it into crops that we can get. Let's get the coal. Let's get the oil. Diba? Let's get. No? So, extractive in nature, right? And in the end, when you lose all the trees, it gets a lot hotter because the trees can create shade, which triggers condensation. No? Now, in cities, sometimes you will see na pag may puno, here, 33 degrees Celsius, no trees, 66. So that's the difference between Singapore and, let's say, downtown Pasig or downtown Manila where there are no trees. No? Certain sections, right? And then our farmers are the ones that suffer the most, El Nino. So they lose out on crops. And so some of the farmers we work with, only half their farms have rice. And I asked them, why don't you have rice on half the farm? They said, sir, we ran out of water. So we had to just share the water. Everyone decided to just plant half. I was like, oh, did you go hungry? And they said, no, sir. However, we had no more surplus. So we couldn't sell to the other town. So where did the other town get its rice? China. We had to import. Vietnam, sorry. No. There we go. So it's connected, right? And then, of course, when it rains harder. Diba? There's category 5 today that wasn't there 20 years ago, right? And flooding has become very normal. Now, one of the best ways to mitigate flood is through trees because trees will hold as much as 2,000 liters of water per tree divided into its body. No? And the other side of it is trees also produce water. No? So no trees equals no river water. So here, these two rivers are drying up. They used to have 2,000 liters per minute flow. Now it's 500 liters per minute. So farmers are fighting over water, right? In that sense. And then white water rafting is no longer viable in that area now. So this particular video will showcase what happens when you have a mountain. This one, it simulates a mountain without trees. So it's a planter box, just soil. On the other side is a mountain with trees. So it's a planter box with plants. Then you watch how, while they're watering it, watch how the water behaves below. Right? So on your left, what's happening to the water? It's dirty. It's taking the soil from the top. It's fast. And it comes out at the top. Meanwhile, on the other side, describe the water. It's clear, it's slower, and it's coming from the bottom. So the question is, if this was Sierra Madre and your house is down here, which mountain do you want? This one or this one? Left or right? Right. Correct. Unfortunately, Antipolo is starting to look like this. And so Marikina will look like this. No? No? Right? And again, guys, I'm not blaming anyone. It's a system effect that we need to be mindful of because we did not study this in school, right? Even our architects did not study this in school. And I give talks to architects and engineers and interior designers so that they also learn, no? And now, rice price is so high now. Diba? I know BBM wanted 20 plus pesos per kilo. However, if you fix the seeds, give free fertilizer, right? It's still impossible. Why? Because water irrigation is 9 pesos per kilo if you don't have free water. How does that work? If you go through Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, you will see sometimes tractors with large tanks. These are farmers buying gasoline from the cheap gas stations, the non-branded ones, because they're cheaper. 9 pesos per liter cheaper yan minsan. So I was lining up one day. I asked the farmer in front, "Sir, why are you buying so much gas? We're not going to run out. And the prices are going up. Why are you buying extra?" He goes, "Sir, it's because I have a rice farm and I have no water. So I have a deep well and it's gas powered. So I use the gas to get the water to grow the rice." That's the 9 pesos per kilo. So what's the connection? You cut the forest, less water, more expensive rice. And how much forest do we have left? Less than 3%. No wonder our rice is so expensive. You know how much rainforest Malaysia has? 30. Or 3. That's why the rice is cheaper. Thailand, 30 plus also. That's why the rice is cheaper. No? So, this brings us to one of the several communities that we work with. This is in San Felipe, Zambales. You can see it's brown because it's burnt. It burns every year. No? And here, we wanted to help the community. So we said we will reforest 4,000 hectares, right? To provide water, to combat climate change, and to provide livelihood. No? So we set up a tour. Small company, we don't have money, but we can show people a good time. So we made a tour called Tribes and Treks. The money funds the reforestation. And this is what it looks like. No? So you can go hiking, right? And if you don't want to walk the 10 kilometers round trip, you can take a Grab Carabao, right? And then when you get to the end, you can also do archery. So it's a cultural program, right? And then afterwards, you also meet the community. They talk about herbal medicine. So headache, stomach ache, muscle ache, heartache, wala daw. And then we're trained on for culinary management. So we coach the community on how to provide restaurant-level food, but al fresco, no? Outdoors, right? And then there's dancing and planting. Now, we planted a lot. And after our first successful tour, this guy, the chieftain, I was supposed to give him 3,000 pesos. Because I brought 20 guests, I brought all the food. And then he said, "Oh, here's 3,000 TY." In 2016, 3,000 pesos would have taken him a month and a half to get. Because mababa talaga ang bayad sa Zambales. The minimum wage is 350, but everyone's just paying 200 per day. I don't know why. No? They didn't follow the minimum wage there. Anyway, Chieftain said, "Sir, don't pay me." Wait, is there anyone here who needs to hear this in English? Does anyone need to listen to this story in English? Or can I speak in Tagalog? Okay, thank you. So, sabi ni Chieftain, "Wag mo na akong bayaran." Sabi ko, "Bakit po?" Sabi niya, "Sir, pag binayaran mo ako, magastos ko yan sa load, sa 3 naman na kape, o sa sigarilyo. Kasi makita ng mga lalaki, hingin ako niyan." Sabi ko, anong gusto mo? Dapat mabayaran kita. So in my head, I was thinking, itong si Chieftain, di na nakapagtapos ng grade 5, tinatanggihan pa yung pera. Yabang naman nito. No? Kasi I grew up I think we all grew up in a system where pag mahirap, bigyan mo ng pera. Ito na nga, nag-extra work na nga kami, binigyan ng trabaho para dignified yung pagtanggap ng pera. Pero ayaw pa rin. So, sabi ko, Chieftain, ganito, nakakahiya kung hindi kita bigyan ng pera kasi ang daming nagtrabaho. So, dapat talaga bayaran kayo. Ang sagot niya ganito, Sir, tignan mo po yung lupaing ninuno namin, yung ancestral domain. Napakalaki, pero nakatiwangwang, walang laman. Kung seryoso ka, natutulong sa amin, dalhan mo kami ng mga buto at binhi. Kasi yon itatanim namin. At kahit nakawin yung magnanakaw magtatanim at makikinabang ang kabataan sa aming baryo, sa aming bayan. So, I was thinking, wow, role reversal. Akala ko, ako yung tumutulong, ako magtuturo. Baliktad pala, ako yung tinuturuan niya. No? And I also thought to myself, laging sinasabi ng tao, sustainability para sa mayaman lang yan. Hindi pala, si Chieftain, gets na gets niya. Kasi he was teaching us about restoration. No? So, what did we do with the information? We did two things. No? So the first thing is, we started getting seeds. We pick up seeds from UP Diliman, from different towns. No? So this is our, ayun lang, before and after, medyo fuzzy lang. We started here, 2017, 21, yan na. Tapos this is 2024, last year. No? And, thank you. Tapos yan yung valley. No? And then, lahat ng tanim na mga bisita or pag ayaw nila, bayad na lang, patanim na lang sa iba. No? So maraming namatay in the process. We're not foresters naman, but we finally got the system right. Yan yung mahalaga. Try and try again, no? So, masaya kami, ang daming natanim, and then biglang may humirit na elder sa akin. Sir, kalikasan na naman. Sa ko, problema mo sa kalikasan. So, nagpaliwanag yung matanda. Sabi niya, Sir, kasi lagi na lang may pera para sa kalikasan, walang pera para sa tao. So, I reflected on it and nag-research ako ng konti. Ang nakita ko ganito, karamihan ng tree planting sa Pilipinas, pupunta, picture, alis, tapos na. So, dahil dinonate sa community, walang bayad sa community. Bahala na, sa'yo naman yan eh. Okay? The next tree planting permutation is government system. Mas maganda yung government system. They will hire you for 3 years to take care of the tree. So, 3 years ito, sweldo, alagaan mo yung mga puno. But they leave also after. So, after 3 years, what do you do? What most people do is they cut the tree and turn it into charcoal and then ibebenta sa kay manong na nagba-barbecue. You know why? Because half the country uses charcoal as energy for cooking. Half. Diba? Bawat bayan may nagba-barbecue ng alas 3, alas 4. 5 kung summer kasi mainit. Diba? Alam natin yan. At titigil ba kayo sa pagkain ng barbecue? Hindi. Yun, diba? So yun yung isang situation. And meron kaming guide na kausap dati, lalaki. Once a week ko lang siya nabibigyan ng trabaho. Sabi ko, pre, ano ba ginagawa mo pag wala ako dito? Kasi Sunday lang tayo nagkikita. Monday to Saturday, anong sideline mo? Sideline, no? Monday to Friday. Sabi niya, sir, nag-uuling ako. Tapos tingin ako sa protected area. Sabi ko, di ba bawal yan dito? Makulong ka yung kapitbahay mo nakulong dahil nahuli siyang may uling. Ang sagot niya, kwento. Sabi niya, sir, nung bata ako, si Lolo, binenta niya yung lupa niya sa mga unat. Unat is straight-haired people. Right, so, yan. Unat. Sorry. Sorry. Anyway. Sorry, hindi naman. So, ang sabi niya, yung unat, pinuto lahat ng puno. Tapos yumaman. Nag-lumber at nag-uling. Ba't kami hindi pwede? Di ba lupa namin to? Kasi wala akong masabi. Tahimik, tameme lang ako. Kasi tama naman siya. Hindi ba injustice yon? Yung iba pwede, siya hindi. But, if you remember what we just discussed, can our environment afford it? No. Di na kaya. And that's why the just economic transition, which is the Sustainable Development Goals, has to happen. Right? It has to happen. And so, with all that in mind, ito yung tugon namin sa hirit ng elder. No? you do to earn money without destroying the environment, right? So, yung unang ginawa namin, yung pera na tinanggi ni Chieftain, kumuha kami ng, puno kami Baguio, kwento sa Good Shepherd Sisters, they gave us all their seeds. So, yung 3,000, naging 2 tonelada ng ube seeds. No? Yun. Anyway, tapon nila yan. Then we trained them on purple yam chips na manamis-namis, so Pinoy style. No? And then, yung mga seeds, kasi ang seedling mahal eh. Minsan 50 pesos, minsan 200 pesos, depending on how big, tapos transport pa. So we just picked up seeds and started planting. No? Tapos yan, lumalaki na siya. And then, habang lumalaki, napansin namin, mas presko ah. In fact, 13 degrees Celsius yung difference at noontime ng area na may tanim at area na wala. Right? Parang aircon level yon. And then, yung puno, may flower. Yung flowers attract bees. The bees will produce honey. So now, we're also selling their honey. They sell honey, and the honey is actually right at the back over there. No? Tapos, meron ding yung ibang place na may forest na, gulo. We started vegetable and fruit farm, no? So ito, may papaya na sila, right? Binibenta sa local na resorts, restaurants. And then, bamboo. Nagpatanim ako ng bamboo ng birthday ko. Lahat ng kaibigan ko, kinalampag ko. In 2020, lockdown, ginawa namin bamboo parol. So now, biodegradable parol. Kasi most of the parols, puro plastic yan, di ba? Yun. And then, last, cashew. Yung lupa kasi sa Zambales, lahar, doesn't hold water well. So we needed a drought-tolerant crop. Cashew is that. Tapos, kalahati na, yung kasoy, kalahati niyan sa bansa. Galing Vietnam, Cambodia, China. No? So ito, we're growing the local industry. Tapos, nakahanap pa kami ng processor na gumawa ng cashew butter. No? Ayan. So, those are examples of the regenerative economy or sustainable economy. No? So ito, 2020 seeds, 2023 yan na yung mga cashew trees. Mabilis yung kasoy. No? Ang masarap. Meron lang kasoy doon for sale. Support the community, guys. So ito yung before and after natin. Walang tubig, may tubig. Walang produkto, may produkto. Right? That's the whole point of it. No? And we want to build the future sustainably. No? Now, wildfire is a common thing today. 2 months ago, nagkaroon ng article nag-viral, Baguio Country Club, Camp John Hay, wildfire. Meron din lumabas, not as popular, San Antonio Zambales, wildfire. Baka nakita nyo, nagsisurf ako dun eh. So alam ko siya. Ito, litrato to ng mga tauhan namin sa community fighting wildfire. No? So we lost 22,000 trees due to wildfire. No? Yung 62,000 na yun, dapat 82 yan eh. Pero nasunog kasi. No? And when we looked at our data, we found that this is what's happening in the Philippine environment today. No? So, pagdating ng August, babaha. So, itong lalaking ito, tumawid ng ilog, bibiling bigas, tapos yung buong barangay nanonood, pinagtatawanan siya, niloloko siya. But 6 months later, in February 2024, same river, wala nang tubig, tapos nasusunog. So, flood and fire. That's the book of Revelation. Diba? Signs of the end of the world to come. Of course, it's not, we don't particularly believe that, but it is a sign that if we don't stop, the world will end for us. No? So, what this means is the environment can no longer adjust to the climate. Hindi na kaya ng lupa yung rain and heat. So, we did apply the scientific method, find out what's causing the fire. So, ito yung may sala, dry grass. No? In Baguio, it's pine cones and pine needles and dry grass. No? Little different. No? So, yung Cogon, it's so dry na kung meron kang motorsiklo, tapos, di ba start, minsan may spark. Yung spark na yon is enough to start that fire. Tapos malakas ang hangin dyan. 30 kph, tatalon-talon yan. Wala na. Kaya mabilis masunog yung bundok. No? So, our solution was, kasi mahal magdala ng tubig sa taas ng bundok. So we said, we'll turn it into biochar. Lulutuin natin siya. Basically, uulingin natin but in a process that is based on science. No? So you cut the grass, you put it in a metal chamber, pwedeng kaldero, or pwedeng professional oven. Ang labas niya, biochar. And the process is called pyrolysis, which has two variables. One is less oxygen, kaya tatakpan mo yung pagluto. Pangalawa, it must be hotter, so it has to be metal. The temperature has to be at least 500 degrees Celsius. Kasi pag nagba-barbecue ka sa labas, mga 200 to 300 degrees lang yan eh. But in that chamber, 500 up to 1,000. No? So, what does biochar do? One is, it holds water. No? It's a soil enhancer. So watch this experiment. 2 boxes of soil, you put the same amount of water, but one box has biochar. Yung isa tumutulo, walang biochar, yung isa meron. Wala. No? Because biochar holds 5 times its weight in water. So 1 kilo biochar up to 5 liters of water. Right? Next, biochar holds water and nutrients. Itong halaman, tignan mo, liit niya. Walang biochar. Pag tinabi mo sa halaman na may biochar, it's less than half. Here's the biochar. 5%. Right? And then, because of that, we trained the community on how to do biochar. Right? And this is what regular wildfire looks like, diba? Kita mo yung black na yan? That's carbon. That's the carbon that's heating the planet. That's driving climate change. Right? It's driving the flood and the El Nino versus, tignan mo tong, ito, dito we're cooking. Look at the air. Why? Because all the carbon is stuck inside the metal chamber, right? So it is a carbon negative process which has been highly encouraged by the likes of MIT, Stanford, the Australian Institute of Concrete. It has carbon credits, if you're familiar. No? So, this is what it looks like. No? Solid carbon, right? And we're using it to plant, no? And it's also the base product for charcoal briquettes, the mga polished briquettes na, no? That you see in your favorite Korean barbecue. No? And then, biochar can also be mixed into paint so that it stops rust and reflects more heat, right? So kung meron kayong mga bahay sa may beach, anti-rust siya, basically, no? And then the biochar can also be used for planting. Sorry, this slide's not working. Oops. Waiting lang. Yan. Okay. So we had the community cook, right? Plant. And then ito nga, si Ate Husna. Yan, nilagyan ko ng biochar kahit puno ng nyog, nilagyan. Hihihi. Tignan nyo po yung kalamansi, daming bulaklak. Kaya kahit mainit, buhay na buhay ang aking mga pananim. No? So, that's their testimony. So they really like it. No? And we're trying to advance it as much as we can. The tree planting money we get, we're looking at special species of giant bamboo. Right? Look at, that's my hand. Diba? Layo, no? Tapos, you can build it into structures like this. Diba? This is in Bali. I got the chance to study there for a bit. Napakaganda. We can do it here. And the nice thing is, this next picture, this is in the Philippines. This is Davao City. So, pwede na siya, diba? So, again, what you can do with nature is amazing as long as you take care of it and you study it, no? Now, most of our educational system is disconnected from nature, kaya most of us don't understand it, diba? Myself included. Wala naman siya sa school dati. And at the core of it, ang tao, hindi niya aalagaan ang hindi niya naiintindihan. Diba? Pag naintindihan mo na yung trabaho mo, nagpapakain sa anak mo, alagaan mo trabaho mo. Pero yung puno, di mo maintindihan kung anong ginagawa niya, anong paki ko sa puno? Sige, patuloy mo lang. Sabi nila, maganda may puno, environment daw, advocacy daw, yun lang. And that's, yung sinabi ko yun, advocacy lang. Hanggang dun lang talaga ang alam ng karaniwang Pinoy tungkol sa puno. Pero ngayon, iba na ang kaalaman nyo. Diba? Mas malalim ang alam nyo. No? And so, for us, at MAD, we hope that we can take care of Metro Manila. Now, Metro Manila is a city. Kita mo naman, no? Napaka-gray na niya, puro concrete. And kung lumaki ka dito, nagtrabaho ka dito, nag-aral ka dito, alam mong konkreto yung Metro Manila. Pero, bahagi din siya ng tinatawag nating bioregion. A bioregion is defined by science as the area boundary of the biggest bodies of water, Manila Bay and Laguna Bay, and the highest mountain peaks. That is Sierra Madre. So, from the peak of Sierra Madre all the way here, that's our bioregion. Sa kabila ng Sierra Madre, ibang bioregion na yun. No? Iba na yung klima niya, iba na yung water system niya. No? We are responsible for this. So yung scope of responsibility natin dapat lumaki. It should not follow the cities, which is malit lang yung city lang tayo, Makati na tayo. No. It has to be the bioregion. And we need to take ownership of that. Kung tayo yung nagtatrabaho dito, naninirahan dito, di ba? Dapat tayo yung responsible sa buong region na yan. No? So that includes parts of Rizal, parts of Bulacan, parts of Laguna, and Cavite. Right? And we want to reforest 73,000 hectares in Sierra Madre. And we also want to clean up Manila Bay. Right? Sorry, how am I doing for time?
You have 10 minutes.
Ooh, 10 minutes. Sige. Okay pa kayo, guys? Sige. So, I talked about the mountain. We'll talk about the ocean quickly lang. This is our existing surf hostel in La Union. And because of the surf hostel, dun ako na-in-love sa dagat, no? And ito yung nagturo sa akin ng surfing. Nagsasurf siya, puro basura. Sino na dito nakasurf dati? Taas kamay. Yung mga nag-surf, nakabukas ba o nakasara yung bunganga nyo habang nagsasurf? Nakabukas, di ba? Kung sa simula, nakasara, sa dulo, nakabukas yan. No? And so, kung may basura yung tubig, may basura ka sa bunganga mo. No? So, we're showing this kasi what we found is that the Philippines is one of the largest polluters in the country. In the world, sorry. Diba? Yung mga rivers, kanyan. No? So, super sama. No? Tapos, ang bawat ilog aabot sa dagat at pagdating sa dagat, yung mga isda, hindi naman nila alam kung yung plastic, basura ba yan o pagkain. So ito, tiyan ng yellowfin tuna. Diba? Sarap. Oh. Yan. Now, the Philippines only recycles 7% of all plastic. 7. No? And this is our production per day. No? So, we need to change that, no? Also because plastic, if it falls on a coral reef, it is 89% more likely to get sick. Parang vaccine level efficacy. And ang coral reef per hectare, 1,000 kilos of seafood per year. So what am I saying? Less basura, ibig sabihin, better corals, more fish, cheaper food. Magkano na ba ang seafood ngayon? Mahal, di ba? Yun nga, ang mahal na nga ng seafood ngayon, no? And so, nag-math kami. We got data from the Smithsonian Museum. Ang tanong, how much money do we lose to a dirty Manila Bay? Yun yung question, no? So, ito na lang, para mas maganda infographic. Ayan. Manila Bay, 2.9 million kilos of seafood. Laguna de Bay, 900,000. Pasig River, 17,000 kilos of seafood per year. Ang tanong, kakain kayo ng ilog Pasig? Ay, no? Manila Bay. Yung tahong dito sa Cavite. Maybe. Kung mura. Hindi. Yun lang naman. So, yung solution dito that we started to do. By the way, plastic, for every kilo of plastic you use, it's 3 kilos of carbon. May carbon component din siya na hindi na-capture ng Stanford data. No? Tayo, number 1 tayo sa plastic sa mundo, sa country, no? And so ito nga, you have to analyze the waste. Plastic is 18%, no? Still, most of our waste is organic. So to solve the issue, kailangan marunong na tayo mag-handle ng iba't ibang kinds of waste, no? So, what we did is we set up a program to get people to segregate and then to kind of recycle waste. So this is our feature on BBC. Tapos ito's talking about what we're doing in La Union. No? So we wanted people to recycle, to take back the waste, no? And so we got people to pick up a lot of waste, and ito yung naging unang effect. Yung pader namin, as proof of concept, we built it. Sa baba, it's still cement, pero yung taas, wala namang papatong na sa pader. Plastic waste, no? So, ang nangyari dyan, we're able to use 1.5 tons of plastic in the wall. The wall is still alive today. Wall of the hostel, no? So, di naman napapansin kasi magaling yung artist eh. Diba? So, this one can be done sa countryside, pero syempre in the city, iba yung build kasi load-bearing, ganyan, no? So, there are other technologies you can use for it naman, no? But the critical question is, how do you reduce waste? Kasi nga, kahit may recycling tayo, kulang. Meron ng batas ngayon, yung EPR law, about waste. So basically, si Coca-Cola, if they sell 100 bottles of Coke in plastic, they must retrieve 5 this year. Next year, 2026, they must retrieve 6 of 10. And by 2028, it's 8 of 10. No? All large companies are required to do this. No? If not, there's a penalty, baka mawala business permit nila. It's 5 million first offense, 10 second offense, 15 million third offense, and then suspension of business permit. Yun siya. No? So, ang mangyayari niyan, magkaka-recycling industry tayo, pero we still produce too much. So, we have to reduce, right? And so, here, I want to share with you this picture. Tumambay ako sa Coffee Bean. Lahat sila nag-dine-in, pero lahat sila naka-take-out cup. Take-out, 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 take-out. No? Ano naman guys, lahat naman tayo dumaan sa ganyan. Lahat tayo gumagamit ng plastic. No? So let's not point fingers, but let's ask ourselves. No? What can we do? Diba? Kaya maganda yung mga ganito, diba? Makakatulong, no? And ito yung setup ko sa pag nag-baon kami, pag kumakain sa labas. So, baon boy talaga ako, bata pa. Pero maganda. Dapat tignan, diba? Tapos, in our events, we also decided to do catering na zero waste. Kasi when we do tree planting, beach cleanup, bigla na lang magpapakain yung group. Ay, individually wrapped mamon. Individual Tetra Pak, plastic bottle, plastic spoon fork, patay, mas marami pa kayo na-produce kasi na-clean up. So we thought, wait, we need a solution, right? And so we invested in ito, parang bento box, no? Tapos, ganyan na siya ngayon, no? That's how we do our zero waste catering. And we do training for companies and LGUs on zero waste events, zero waste picnic, zero waste catering. Now, just last Friday, kinausap ako ng isang LGU sa Batangas. Sabi, sir, train nyo naman yung mga resort owners namin ng zero waste events and catering. Sabi ko, sure. So, ano bang kwento nyo? What's prompting this? Ang sagot niya, ganito, sir, nung Holy Week, nagdagsaan ng bisita sa bayan namin. Sobrang dami. Lahat ng resorts, all 200 resorts, lahat disposable. Para madali. Ang ending, yung trash hauling bill ng LGU, nag-times 3 milyones. So si LGU is not happy kasi ba't ang daming basura, ba't ang laki ng hauling cost natin? Ngayon, si LGU will want to increase waste removal fees sa resort owners. What will the resort owners say? Of course not. Awayin nila yung LGU. Sa LGU, idea niya is, ita-training namin kayo on why and how, and then give us solutions. If not, tataas talaga yan. Diba? Informed, no? So, it's important. No? So, we're looking actually for partners, for schools, for orgs to partner so we can bring this across. Kasi the waste is usually in the decision of someone who's fixing the food or organizing the event. Diba? I see it all the time. No? So, anyway, I'm running out of time. Oops. But this is pretty much what we're trying to push. And perhaps a last innovation that I want to show you. Ito, this is a stronger way to build. They grind the plastic and then they mix it in the cement. Only 7% of the block is plastic. 7% lang. So mababa. But it's strong. It's 3 to 5 times stronger than a regular hollow block. So this one we sell these, no? Tapos, ayan, you can build. And then it's used already in UP Diliman, BGC, Max Fried Chicken, Shell. It's a nice outdoor item. I wouldn't really recommend it indoors kasi nga may plastic, no? So, matibay siya. Yan. Someone's trying to break it. Ayaw. No? Ayaw masira. Now, okay naman siya, pero at the end of the day, syempre yung plastic magde-degrade ng over time. Microplastics will still leach out. And then uulan. Ano rin, pupunta sa dagat, kakainin ng isda, kakainin natin. O di ganun na naman. So, is the solution recycling? It's not. Right? If you've been to any recycling center, ang daming microplastic kasi they're carving the plastic. So again, I don't think recycling is bad. We need it. But the solution is to reduce your waste. So please think about it. Ano yung kailangan nyo para mabawasan? Right? Do we need another water fountain in the office? No? And one success story, I gave a talk to Accenture in 2017. Similar talk. By 2019, bawal na yung mga takeout stuff in their office. Mga plastic cups, plastic bottles. Lahat sila naka-debote na lahat. No? Na parang ganito na, right? In different schools, bawal na rin, nag-change policy sila, right? So it just takes a little to push it, no? And ito, this is our latest event, Level Up Cleanup, where we do a cleanup, but we teach you how to reduce waste and how to recycle waste. So maraming activities, such as circular fashion, seed ball making, biochar making, pillow making, yan, no? And then, ang maganda dito, we also give you the list of all the recyclers or waste reduction companies. So ito, IT recycler, baka kailangan nyo. No? Kahit yung mga computer screens, rice cooker. This one, they make charcoal out of coconut. And then the last one, they recycle plastic into crates, tables, yan, chairs like that one over there. No? Pwede rin, right? So yun, these are things that we need, right? Because we want to take care of our bioregion, right? And for us at MAD, it's two things. Restore the forest, mountain ecosystem, and to clean the ocean, reducing waste, right? This is our map of experiences around Luzon because kailangan ng Manila ng halimbawa ng sustainability at restoration na private sector, but also community-based. Kasi kung hindi, sasabihin na naman ng tao, pang mayaman lang yung sustainability. So we work with communities here, no? And I hope to see you guys in one or some of them, no? Right? So yun. So in closing, we're Make a Difference. We do educational programs with impact. We do ecosystem restoration. And we have green products from community. So yun po. Maraming salamat. And I hope you learned something.
Thank you, and I think it's time that we announce that we will have our first outreach and team building in the National Park. So, thank you for the candidates kung kailan yung team yung pupunta. Because that's, it's CSR and at the same time team building. Exciting? Yes! Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. You can send all your other questions. Meron pang ibang activities. Kung gusto nyo mag-join sa activities ng MAD, you can reach out to me and then we can plan. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pwede picture tayo.
Oo. Yeah. Ay guys, pa-follow naman sa Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Yeah. Tapos at the back, just so you know, some of the community products are here. So we have Kasoy from Zambales, we have Barako from Batangas, and then we have Forest Honey. So nandito lang siya. It'll be here for the next hour, and then again later tonight when we do the second run. No? So yun, just feel free to drop by. Dito naman si Jason, no, who will help out. Yeah.
Quick picture with Raf. Ano lang kayo dito? Rapid na lang. Or tayo kayo. Thank you.
Yung plastic natin.
Uy, thanks, Erish.